New data released of Zepbound news versus bariatric surgery. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping, and I have lost over 98 pounds the last 22 months of taking GLP-1 medication. I have been on Mounjaro and Zepbound and Tirzepatide compound. Because of the shortages, those have varied a little bit. And on today's episode, I'm going to link down in the description link below, as is all of my sources I'm going to be talking about today in this Zepbound News and Mounjaro News article. It's from Columbia Surgery, and as always, I do require that I'm factually accurate, so I will cite my sources down below so you can go read the articles too if you wish. And I have a ton of free things for you, a free meal plan that was dietitian created specifically for GLP-1 patients that I paid for, so I own the licensing rights, so you can go ahead and take advantage of that for free, linked down on Countess of Shopping, but it's hyperlinked in that more description. Let's dive in. So there's this new information that's coming out basically stating, it's from the Columbia Surgery Center of Metabolic and Weight Loss Surgery, about the trend. It's the State of the Union for weight loss surgeries, meaning bariatric surgeries, the last year of the trend that we're seeing. And I've been fascinated by this because I personally looked into bariatric surgery. I didn't have it. But as I encountered my GLP-1 weight loss stall, and if you haven't seen that, it was weeks and weeks and weeks, it was more than a month of having a weight stall, very frustrating, on GLP-1 medication. I have since pushed past it, of making a lot of lifestyle changes, and that's been one of the blessings of taking Zepbound, is I get to focus in on making food choice changes and exercise changes with those. And this study to me was pretty fascinating. So let me go ahead and read it. It's basically talking about how the result and popularity we're seeing in bariatric surgeries, a decrease in the number of patients who are seeking bariatric surgery. Nationally, do you want to guess what the trend is, a percentage? It's 10 to 20% decrease of bariatric surgeries, depending on the specific market decrease in volume of bariatric surgeries. I find this fascinating, which I had suspected, and you probably did too. You're a smart cookie if you're watching this channel. You probably are a smart cookie as well. I had suspected, I was like, I wonder how much of bariatric surgery is going to be affected and affect that business, affect those surgeons, and affect centers that are associated with bariatric surgery. And so hearing this information for me was fascinating, but this is what is fascinating too, is that many people in our community have had bariatric surgery. I haven't completely ruled, if I'm being, let me take my glasses off. That's how we know I'm serious here. I have not completely ruled it off the table for myself, of if I continue to stay in this weight, I don't know. I don't know. I'm being fully authentic and opening myself up for criticism here, but it's still not off the table with me of using it as and then some with this, because I've talked with a lot of people who've had bariatric surgery and can relate to that GLP-1 medications helps with the mindset quite a bit of feeling full, and that feeling of satiety. And really, I've not felt that appetite suppression ever, but having bariatric surgery, it's, you physically cannot eat but so much. And so having had that with GLP-1 medication, but now being on GLP-1 medication the last 22 months, it's, I need a higher dose. And it's not that the medication's not working, because it is, but my body has adapted so much to it. And I still have a ways to go on my weight loss journey. I have lost 98 pounds. And if I'm being honest, there's probably another 30 plus pounds in there that I really do need to lose to hit my proper BMI. And so going back over to the study of why I think it's so fascinating, of the two of these, of that people are still going to get bariatric surgery with it too, for a number of different reasons. We're seeing the cost of insurance coverage lacking with GLP-1 medication, of where it's $1,300-ish per month, $1,000 per month before savings cards and healthcare plans cover these, whereas health insurances are covering bariatric surgeries quite a bit. Many companies are removing coverage for obesity as well from the formularies, which is so frustrating. Y'all know it is so frustrating. You're like, dude, obesity is a disease. Can we please get proper treatment for it? A third of the patient have taken, so this was the other part that I thought was fascinating from this Columbia surgery.org information. About a third of the patients have taken and have failed on GLP-1 medications and don't want to keep taking them because of their side effects, and are coming in for surgery anyway. And so it talks a little bit about the treatment plans with those two of that the decrease from bariatric surgery. This particular surgeon thinks that the decrease is a trend, and that it's going to experience that it's going to go back up. Is basically what they're saying. And so we always like to put on our critical thinking caps here at Countess of Shopping, of how can this be beneficial for our own weight loss journeys and our own health journeys. But I know so many of you had bariatric surgery, and long term, it was not a long term solution for you. That being on GLP-1 medication with the bariatric surgery was a benefit. And for me, it's something I've been kicking the can on. I don't think I've really talked. I'm trying to think if I've talked about this before, and I don't think I really have. Of where I am somewhat revisiting it, but also somewhat waiting for retatrutide. It's the Godzilla of upcoming GLP-1 medications. If it goes through clinical trials and does get FDA approval, which all of those things hopefully will happen, that will be about 2 years before that comes out. And in the interim, I'm going to go back to this specific data of things that I've been really, really focusing in on, is what Eli Lilly tells us we have to do. Of things that I can control is the food modifications, and then also physical exercise. And so exercise I have been using, I started off on YouTube. There is a free wall Pilates lady. I don't know her from Adam. I've posted her before. It's this one of where it's wall Pilates for seniors. You can see the picture on it. It's that one. That's the one I started off with, which got me on my Pilates journey that has been so helpful to help build muscle from my home, totally for free. That has been an option for me. And then now I take private Pilates class, or I go to private Pilates lessons or classes to help build that muscle. Number two, the other thing that has really helped move the needle for me is taking gem vitamins. I am obsessed with them. You hear me talking from the bell tops like Quasimodo about how impactful they've been for me. It has in there, their bites. It's literally real food. So I stopped taking gummy vitamins because my dentist was like, Elizabeth, you're getting cavities in your teeth, synthetic vitamins, things like that. I wanted real food. And so that's why I take Gen Vitamins. They have over 20 different types of minerals, vitamins in there. You can see there's the pumpkin seeds on there. Like, it tastes delicious. Someone had told me recently they were a huge fan, like I am, of Gem Vitamins, and they're like, it reminds me the taste of a Starbucks lemon loaf. And I'm like, oh, it does taste like that. And it's got this great, delicious taste on it. So I'm obsessed with that flavoring. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. They do also have other bites too for things like sleep, and they've got some other ones as well. But Gem has been very gracious to the Countess of Shopping community. If you go to dailygem.com/queen, use the discount code queen, get an extra 50% off of your monthly subscription, which is so generous. Thanks, Jen, for being so generous. And so I highly recommend, for me, definitely with my blood work, recently had a blood panel from my doctor. I had my yearly annual physical, and my primary care doctor was like, this is the best blood you've ever had, a blood panel, the best everything. She's like, you are chef's kiss in terms of working for my health. And I would attribute part of that for Gem Bites. It's made a big difference for me. And because it has in there real food, because it doesn't have that synthetic garbage in there, it's got over 20 vitamins and minerals, including prebiotics and probiotics, which goes back to this article talking about the side effects. People stop taking GLP-1 medications because of the side effects, which are the most common ones are gastrointestinal, diarrhea, constipation, nausea. The prebiotics and probiotics in there are so helpful for the constipation part for me, that's not really an issue for me anymore. And so I highly recommend, love these, love the way that they taste. I like having them particularly with my afternoon decaf coffee around like 2-ish. So I've already had lunch. It's kind of like a treat for me in there, but it's not a treat because it's helping with the vitamins and minerals that I'm going to be getting. And you have the powerful antioxidants in there and the phytonutrients, but they're also more bioavailable than synthetic vitamins. So going back over to the article, it's people are stopping GLP-1 medications because of the side effects, but also these surgeries for bariatric surgery are the cost is decrease in surgery has happened. And this was the other thing I found fascinating was the decrease in the cost of surgery. You can get surgery down $25,000 to $30,000, and that's less than 2 years worth of GLP-1 medications. We know it's effective for 70 to 80% of patients per the surgery, per this article that I'm citing as my source. And insurance companies requiring 6 months of medically managed of obesity before they'll approve the surgery is also an important part of this as well. So if you have patients with a BMI of 60 and above, putting this on the medications for their weights to get them in better shape for surgery. Versus like the surgery. So it goes on in here, and I thought this was also fascinating too. It talks about how there's this new enthusiasm and excitement for, in the medical world, of sustained weight loss, of having this conversation of, I mean, for me, I've lost 22 pounds. This is the longest. My husband just reminded me of this last night, and I love my husband so much because he's so encouraging. And he reminded me of, babe, you've not only lost weight, but you kept it off. And he's like, and my husband and I met when I was 18 years old, third day at college at James Madison University. Go Duke Dogs. And so he's seen my diet yo through my whole, like, for decades now. And so for him to be like, you've kept it off the longest because of GLP-1 medication, talking about that in terms of bariatric surgery, a lot of people have gained the weight back on there. And so for me, I have been exploring, and as we know more information about GLP-1 medication, about using the addition with bariatric surgery with GLP-1 medication. People who I have seen who've lost and done really, really well at lower doses, this is my hypothesis. I don't have scientific data to back it up. You guys know I'm a science nerd. I will always, I want to be factually accurate and cite my sources. I don't have a source for this. This is my own eyeballs of watching in my free encouragement group with thousands and thousands of people. Would love for you to join. It's linked in the description, link below. But people who have had bariatric surgery, who take GLP-1 medication, they seem to be on lower doses than someone like myself. I'm on Zepbound 15 milligrams, highest dose. I'm at a cap ceiling. There's nowhere else for me to go for the doses. But it seems to me people who have had bariatric surgery can stay at lower doses, which is amazing, by the way. That is amazing. And that it's seemingly, and I have no data to support that. That's just me watching and observing and other people commenting the same thing. So if you've commented that, you're getting part of the credit in this. Several people have commented that to me, and I've noticed that now too, that trend. And I'm curious if there is data that backs that up, but it makes sense, right? Like if you've had bariatric surgery that's changing the smaller size of your stomach, that would make sense that you'd have smaller amounts of the medication to see the benefits of it. So all of that to say, obesity is a disease. And so there is no one treatment plan for obesity because it is a large spectrum of it. There's varying degrees of obesity and different, not milestones, but it's a spectrum. And so giving a one size cookie cutter mold for that, it infuriates me when people do that. I'm like, that's actually not true. Because there's a very wide spectrum of us of obesity management, and that what may work for me may not work for you, and what may work for you may not work well for me. And there's this hair on here, and it's driving me crazy. And so figuring out what works for us is an important part of this conversation, which is why I love doing these videos on a daily basis to help encourage and motivate us to talk to our team. And if you don't have a team, I want to encourage you to assemble Avengers, your own weight loss team for your food, for your nutrition, for the mindset, for the physical component, and with your healthcare provider. I love using Join Fridays. Use the discount code QUEEN. I'll link that down below as my healthcare provider, as they've helped me ride through having brand name to compound, now back to brand name. And then all the changes that have happened with compound and will continue to happen with compound, and as new medications for GLP-1 community get released. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been thinking about with bariatric surgery versus GLP-1 medication is the upcoming pipeline of other GLP-1 medications. About 2 years out for a lot of these, like retatrutide and other doses. People have asked me a lot recently, and I love this question because I'm like, yes, I say all the time I'm at the highest possible dose of Zepbound 15 milligrams. There is nowhere else for me to go. That is the highest out of all of them. Semaglutide, things like that. Is there more higher doses, say, of Zepbound 17.5 milligrams or Zepbound 20 milligrams? It sounds like those are going on, those are being tested. I don't quite understand how this is happening though, but this is what other people have told me. So take that for what it's worth. Again, I don't have a source to cite. And I always want to be citing my sources. In the day and age of misinformation, it's important for sources to be cited from accurate, reputable places. So this is hearsay. But other people have said that they've been in trials for it, but they've signed an NDA for it. So they can't speak publicly, which is why we're not publicly hearing about higher doses being tested. However, I don't know how that, like for all the trials, don't they all have to be listed? On that clinical, I've shown you guys this, there's a website that has all the clinical trials being listed out. Don't those have to be on there? So that's where I'm like, I don't know if that's factually accurate or not, but I do know we have these other testings going on for Tirzepatide medication and for Retatrutide. And then the other one, and I'm going to butcher it, it's OG, I wish I had pulled it up before. I didn't know I was going to go down this rabbit hole in this video, or else I would have. OGLIFRON, the approximate spelling on that. It's the oral medication for Tirzepatide. There is an oral medication for semaglutide already on the market. If you see oral Tirzepatide, those are scammers because it's not yet been released for the oral Tirzepatide. That is being tested right now. And that would alleviate a huge part of what this study is saying about people getting off of GLP-1 medications. Part of it is having access to a refrigerator. These medications have to be refrigerated. And so taking an oral pill, they don't have to be refrigerated, right? Like it's a pill. And those pills can be, there's variations of that. We have the weekly injections, but some of the pills, are they weekly? Are they daily? Like more information on that. But all that to say, a pill will not have to be refrigerated, and the operations of that are going to dramatically lower costs. Like having to ship these where they're refrigerated, that's a high cost. Having a refrigerated truck or wherever they're coming from, a refrigerated train and things like that, keeping them refrigerated. With a pill, you don't have to do that. That is going to lower costs. So I'm curious about going back over to this, how this article stated that the bariatric surgery is down about 10 to 20% so far for 2024, as of that point, statistically. Depending on the marketplace, because different areas are experiencing different, depending on where they are. I'm curious to see how that will change as more GLP-1 medications come to the marketplace. Number two is the cost. They talked about that, $1,000 to $1,300 per month. In the article, they quoted $1,300 per month. As I've sat here going through the information, it's around $1,000, typically not $1,300, depending on your market, but also savings card and healthcare discounts coming into play with that too, depending on your healthcare coverage. So pros and cons for both, but I don't think that we can throw the baby out with the bathwater and say this is the definitive approach for everybody, because that's not true. And for me, I'm actively thinking about, now my brain has been so expanded of, I never thought in my lifetime that there would be medication to help me with obesity that was legit, that wasn't like going to be like fen where my heart would implode. And so to have something that has benefited me so much on so many different levels with my health, now I'm like, okay, well, what else is on the market that's reputable, and all of these things. And I don't know, we'll see about bariatric surgery. We'll see if that's an option for me or not. But in the interim, doing things I can control, like my workouts, like my food choices, like making sure I'm having high protein, high density foods like fruits and vegetables, and having fiber in my diet and things like that. But I am loving GEM as the big part here in my weight loss. And with my most recent blood panels, literally my doctor saying she's not seen my health been this way. So make sure you run to dailygem.com/queen, use the discount code QUEEN to go ahead and get your 50% off your monthly subscription. And you can check out their other bites that they do have too. There's other ones as well if you're interested in sleep and things like that. Those are another great source for you too. So I will cite down below also this article talking about the bariatric surgery, because it's fascinating to me. And that more will be revealed. That I think that we need more information as we're at GLP-1 1.0, as I like to say. And so we're just at the genesis of these, even though they've been out for quite some time. I did say earlier the wrong date for when GLP-1 medications came out, and I want to fix that. I gave misinformation on a previous video, and I meant to pull that up right now. Hold on one second. When were GLP-1 medications released? It was 2005. And so I erroneously said in a previous video the wrong date. It's 2005. So, and my source on that is Google. It's through, who's their website source? It's through Gemini, their AI is producing that, which is coming from NCBI is the source. Okay, a couple things. We do a action accountability of the day. What are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Tell me down in the comments or think it in your sweet brain. 2, our emoji of the day is going to be a coffee cup or a mug. Cheers. Have you had your water today? Have you been focusing and intentional about hydration? Make sure you get your water in. So it's going to be a mug, a coffee cup, one of those little drink emojis. That is our emoji of the day. It helps me to know that you've made it this far in the video. I love to know who's made it this far in the video because I truly do care about you, and I'll be praying for you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thought. So I'm really fascinated by this topic. So we'll continue the conversation in my free encouragement group. I'll link that down below, as is our weekly challenge in our free encouragement group too. That will be updated as well. So check that out. Sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. I look forward to seeing you guys again for tomorrow's video. Mwah. Bye guys. Love you.